Welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 to the Crash Bandicoot tutorial series. Today we're doing crates and Crash's interaction with the crates. So, let's get started. So, last episode we made this. There's no code in it, so if you didn't watch the first episode, because you already have everything you want set up, this is just a simple actor with a static mesh and a skeletal mesh, because there are some crates that will be skeletal. Anyway, let's get started. So, actually, well, we're not going to do any code in here for this one. Instead, we're going to create an instance or a blueprint, child blueprint, and this will be called basic crates. Alright, with this crate, we're going to delete these because we don't need it. And we're going to go ahead and add, not call function, but add the event bounced on. And with that, we're also going to go back into blueprints. We're going to create a new folder. We're going to call it interfaces. We're going to go to blueprints and blueprint interface. I like to name these with BPI because it ends up easier to find than the list of interfaces. So name it that. We're gonna call this crate interaction. Actually, let's just call this interaction. That way it can be used to hit enemies as well. Alright, we're gonna open that up. Going to rename this function to call it func spun. And I just realized something. I don't have the little key thing up, so I'm gonna quickly open that up for you guys. Alright, there we go, it's up in the top left. Alright, we have this, and we're going to make another function, func bounced on. I'm gonna move this to the bottom right so it doesn't get in my way. Did last video. Alright, we're gonna go into, oh, nope. So every crate has this. We're going to open basic crate back up. Also, sorry if there's like a giant noise in the background. I currently have the washing machine running and it is very loud. Oops, I opened up, I clicked on basic crate. We need master crate. We're going to go into class settings, interfaces. We're going to go ahead and add our interface, BPI interaction, and we're going to implement both of these in master crate so we don't have to implement it in every other one as well. And this is bounced on, so we're going to call our bounced on event. And this is spun, so we're going to call our spun event. And that's done. We're going to here, bounced on. Alright, actually, I'm going to this. I'm going to go add something into it quickly. Forgot about this. We need to go add an input, and we need to make sure it is not a player controller, but a pawn. It needs to be a pawn. Alright. And this will be called, I guess we can just call it player. Alright. Now, we can do is add that same thing into here. Right. Need to add it in master crate. Sorry about forgetting this stuff so much. Alright, click on that. We need to go pawn. Actually, can we do character? Oh wait, okay. Yes, we can do character, so that's what we're gonna do instead, because that actually gives us the code we need. So let's quickly go edit that and change this to a character. Alright, now we can just go ahead and swoop. Now this, what is this? Basic crate, so this is going to launch character. And, I don't know, let's do Z override. Say about 600. And then we'll delay for about 0.1. And we'll destroy actor. Obviously, we'll want to spawn in Wumpa Fruit, but for now, we're not gonna do that until we add the Wumpa Fruit item in. Alright, we're going to third-person character blueprint now. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a... let's get rid of this. We don't need that. What we're going to do is we're going to add a on-jumped event. And we're going to make a function. And we'll say trace below for crates. We'll make another one that traces above for crates as well. Alright, what we want to do now is send out a sphere trace. We don't need a multi-sphere trace, we can just do this. We go ahead and break hit result. Make sure this does in fact hit something. And we'll want to take the hit actor and we'll say, what did I call that? Bounced on. We'll pull out from here, call the bounced on thing. And for player, we'll just go ahead and get a reference to self. And yeah, that's our basic little thing. Now let's set up where the trace comes from. Let's set the radius real quick. Probably 15 would be fine. Oops. We'll do 1 frame for that. And want to go into viewport. And the best way I do this is I just add a little sphere collision with no collision whatsoever on it. Call this foot trace, or whatever you want to call it. That refers to it being the area where you start your trace from. And we'll set this to about 15. Just so it's small. Alright. Go ahead, drag this out and say get world location. And that'll be our start, and our end will be subtract the get world position subtracted by, let's say 100. Oops. About to start it without doing this. On event jumped, we'll go ahead and do set timer by function name. Making every time we have something that needs to loop to make sure it traces and whatnot, we want to do a set timer or a timeline that loops until it we want it to only loop when it needs to. So in this instance, whenever he ends up in the air, or event on walking off ledge as well. Another one is on launched. So all 3 of these, if one of those happens, this will happen if you get on a crate that bounces you or an enemy or whatever else. This will happen if you just walk off the ledge. And this happens if you, trigger the jump. Now we're going to want to call func trace below for crates. Make sure you copy the function name 1-to-1 or else it won't work. Alright, let's go ahead and try this out. Oops. Alright, so when you jump, it's... Well, that's odd. I did set it to draw, right? Alright, I don't know, let's make it like 23 or something. And also I want to have this in a new editor window so I can... Well, that's weird. Okay, for some reason the name just changed. So I guess that's the new function name. Yeah, there we go, okay. Alright, and we can already tell that that is... Well, for the most part, that's pretty fine, but we don't need it to go down by 100. Go like 30, I say. Yeah, 30's fine. Alright, another thing we'll want to do... Alright, basic crate. Which we're gonna go ahead and toss in here. Get rid of the static... Or... Was that a static mesh? I don't know. So you'll see that that does in fact bounce you. But... in Crash, there's a little tiny delay before you go and bounce again. Or before you bounce right off. So we're just gonna add a basic delay into there. Dude, we need to change that. There we go. Wow. Now that that's done, let's go on the character movement and make some edits. First off, gravity scale 2. Jumping, let's change this to about 700. And this falling lateral friction, change that to 15. That way when, like, or not 15, maybe like 5. Here, let's do a comparison real quick. First off, air control 1. Alright, so, you see how that happens when you jump forward. If you let go of the key, there's a bit way too much. Then you gotta, like, adjust yourself. If we go and add a little bit of lateral friction, it'll stop and won't go as far. It just feels much nicer. Now, this gravity feels really floaty, like it just feels like your character has no weight, so we're actually going to do something about that as well. So what we're going to do, create another custom event. We're going to call this event Expo Gravity. Expo just means exponential. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a new timeline. And we're going to call this the same thing. And we don't want it to just play, we want it to play from start. And another thing we want to do is make sure that the gravity scale, make sure that this, every time this gets triggered, it gets set to 2. And we're going to pull this out again. No, we want that on the update. And we're going to reroute node there so it looks tidy. Alright, now what we're going to do, we're going to go in here, we're going to add a float track, call this gravity scale. And we're going to make the length something like 0.34. Maybe 0.45. We'll see how it pans out. We're going to add 3. And we're going to set this as time to 0. Its value to 2. We're gonna set this as value to like, I don't know, 6, and it's times a 0.45, and then just going to zoom out real quick. Then we're gonna bring that up there. Then press both of these, that way you can see it all. Now we're going to do this. Right click on it and change it to auto, so it's a smoother insert. Alright, now that we got that, we're going to go back to event graph and just chuck that right in there and give it this, and we're going to say expo gravity. Alright, now all we need to do is events expo gravity. So to be called every time he is launched, every time he has jumped, and any time he's walking off a ledge. One thing we need to do now is we need to on landed. This gets called when he lands. We need to turn this timer off so it's no longer tracing and not taking up performance. So we're going to do pause timer by function name, and just go ahead and we're also going to go ahead and copy and paste this over here. I'm gonna plug it in, and we're gonna say 2. Yeah. Alright. Now, he probably won't jump very high because we need to scale his jump. Oh, well, okay, never mind. He still jumps pretty decently. Yeah, this will give us a way less floaty feel. And you can scale it by going to the timer and setting to 6 to higher numbers and whatnot. But now we're going to go back into character movement, and we're going to set his jump Z velocity to something like 7, or you know what, probably 800. You may want to scale that more to your liking. There, now crates get interacted with by jumping on them. And if you wanted to, you could I don't know, make some little platforming segment now. Well, that was odd. Perhaps I need to make this wait just a tad bit longer than 0.2, maybe 0.35, or, ooh, no, 0.35. Well, that's a little odd. I wonder why it wasn't. That's interesting. I don't know what's going on with that. So let's make sure this is the same as our jump. Could even make it a little lower, a little higher, depending on what you want. There we go. We can actually turn that back. We'll do 0.27. 0.2 seemed a bit too low. I'm not sure why that happens. Alright, perhaps we'll do a sequence here. Go ahead and call this, break that link, pull this out here, and we'll do delay. I think the default delay should be fine. So it'll have a little bit time after landing that'll continue to trace. Yeah, that somewhat fixes our little problem. Anyway, that's the jumping mechanic. Now, Okay, for tracing above crash, well, damn. We'll need to add another event in here. Custom event, hit from below. And of course, you know, we'll have to add one in here. And oops. Sometimes I don't read, so just, you know, make sure you implement this. And hit from, oops, from below. We want this because if we just called the bounced on, it would launch him in the air after hitting the crate with his head, and we don't want that. Unless you want that, then go ahead and do it, but I don't want that. Yeah, we'll practically just do the same function again. Actually, well, I was about to say we could do some other stuff instead of making a whole new function, but we're calling it with a timer, so we can't really do that. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and just copy and paste all of this. Doesn't matter if you highlight that because it won't paste in. Let's see. And instead of foot trace, and instead of subtracting, we'll add 30. But instead of foot trace, we want another sphere that's up here instead. Call this head trace. Oh, I was wondering what that error was. Just this. Alright, so yeah. Now we just need to hit from below, and that's it. That's all we need to do for that. Now basic trace, we can go ahead and call the hit from below, and we'll just call that second portion of the code. Let's go ahead and add another crate in. This character doesn't really line up with the proper proportions. Oh, of course. Go back in third person character, event graph. We need to do this a second time. Which also means we need to turn it off a second time as well. We might turn these into handles. All we need to do is replace below with above here. Put trace above for crates. Compile that. Now it should work. Just need to go ahead and yeah, this is the only time we need to pause. I was thinking since this trace is bows, we might need to pause it somewhere else, but no, we don't need to. Because we want it to keep tracing when you hit your head on a crate. Alright, let's check it out. Okay, that crate's too low for this character. Now it's probably too high. Well, no, alright, well, it worked. Of course you want to polish this up and make everything the scale it needs to be in, yada yada, but this is the basics of bouncing on crates, and even enemies too. Now we're going to quickly set up the spin trace. This is just a tiny bit different. We're going to want to go to project settings, input, And we're going to want to create an action mapping. And we're going to call it spin. We're going to have it left mouse. Change it to whatever you want. Anyway. Go and say spin. And if you hit that, we can make another function, and this will just be called func spin trace. Oops. Now this one is a multi-sphere trace by channel. Let's quickly set this up. If this is true, we want to do a for each loop. And on every single one of these, we want to call these. Oh. No, we need to break that first. Now we can pull out of the hit actor and do spun. There any crate hit now, we'll do that. Now we just need to get actor location. And this will be both our start and our end. And our radius, 120. For one frame. Alright, let's see how that looks. And I never added it into this. Front trace of, or spin trace, that's what we want. Okay, now we hit play, we can see how it looks, and I probably should have not done for one frame for durations so you can see it. Yeah, that's our spin trace. Now it would hit those, and those would be broken. All we gotta do now is we need to add this event in, and we I guess we can plug it into the delay as well, and it works. You don't have to plug that into the delay. I just did. And yeah, that'll be it for this tutorial. Next episode will be importing Crash and his animations, as well as adding Wumpa Fruit and... oh wait, no. What am I thinking? We'll be importing Crash and his animations, setting that up, as well as making a spline camera. So yeah, that's it for this episode. Tune in next time, guys. See ya.